Hi, I'm Don Moores, and welcome to Montgomery Weekend Review. At the end of the ballot in the upcoming April primary election, voters are going to find a list of candidates for the Board of Education. Next week, the League of Women Voters and the Montgomery County Council of PTAs are co-sponsoring a forum featuring Board of Education candidates, and everyone should be paying attention. Elaine Apter from the League is going to tell us when and where this great event will be. As the one remaining weekly newspaper in all of Montgomery County, the Sentinel, a great journal, has concerns about an upcoming bill before the General Assembly that would limit government accountability, as well as the opportunity of the public to get the information they need. Brian Karem, executive editor of the Sentinel, is here to report. Following the holiday season, when many of us donate time and resources, the food needs of many hungry people are often forgotten. Jackie DeCarlo, executive director of the Manna Food Center, will tell us why the winter may be the time to rethink what we do in terms of trying to address the food needs of those in need. Just as in the national presidential election, Montgomery County is seeing candidates who are self-financing their election campaigns. Linna Barnes, assistant producer of the Montgomery Weekend Review, has this story. Elaine Apter.
Hi there.
Nice to see you.
It's great to be here again.
You know, you've talked about this in the past. Our fourth guest has also talked about this in the past in prior elections.
Right.
That it's really important that we get down to the bottom of the ballot.
Right.
The Board of Education and the Board of Education, and that's the one, I believe, that independents that can vote on as well. What's so important about the Board of Education?
Well, and it will be on everybody's ballot, so people really have to realize, even if they're not registered as a Democrat or Republican, they will get to vote for the Board of Election
Because these are
candidates.
nonpartisan candidates.
Correct,
no
in the
Democrats,
primary.
no Republicans, right.
And it's very important. There are a lot of issues up before the candidates. There's a new school superintendent. How are they going to work with this new school superintendent? There's the testing issue. There's all kinds of issues on the changing population in Montgomery County public schools. Also, over half the budget
Right.
comes
budget,
from,
goes to
the
schools.
Montgomery County public schools. So it is a big issue financially and.
Let me ask you this, Elaine. You don't have any kids presently in the school
No,
system.
I don't.
have kids presently in the school system. Why should we care about, I mean, isn't this something that we cared about when our kids were in school? Why should we care now?
Well, it affects us. The first thing we've said is it's a large part of the Montgomery County budget itself.
Okay.
The other thing is it affects businesses if our students are prepared. It affects our housing
Right.
costs. If we have a good education system, people coming into the county or moving to a home or a condo or an apartment look for what school district
want
they're
good
in.
schools.
That's about
Right.
the first things they look at. And so all these things are very important. And so on March 29th, on Monday, we will be having a forum
Okay.
with the Board of Education candidates.
Okay.
And it will be at Carver Auditorium on
Okay.
Hungerford Drive
Okay.
from 6:30 to 9. It starts at 6:30 with refreshments.
Oh, good.
We would like everybody in their seats by 6:55 so we can start on time.
Okay.
But really, and be prepared to listen and to have questions. We will go around and ask
So at the school system
people to
headquarters.
write questions, right.
Well, one of the big problems, one of the reasons why I find it interesting and important is the quality of the people serving on the Board of Education over the last few years hasn't been what it was 10, 20 years ago. And with the amount of budget that's spent in the county, it behooves all of us to take a good look at who's, and it's one of the few races, like you said, that you don't have to be affiliated with a Democrat or Republican. You can be an independent and vote, and you need to.
Yeah, another interesting thing politically is a lot of times it's a starting off or a jumping off point for people that want to run for, say, county school
Sure.
board.
Unless they got a
county-
lot of money and then they're short-circuiting that
And
process.
We'll get to that later. But,
Well,
yes.
how many races are there going to be? How many candidates are you
There
going to be
is
seeing?
an at-large, which will be on the primary ballot, and there are 4 candidates. There are also, in the general election, you will have candidates for 2 different districts, but everybody votes for them. Those candidates on Monday night will be given a chance to just have a statement, because they won't be on the primary ballot.
Because there's only two. And so,
Right,
and-
but you will be able to hear from them.
Okay, all right. What, anybody else wants to jump in, but before we do, what do you see? Do you see a real disparity or discrepancy, or I should say, or variety in the candidates' positions? Or are they all basically saying the same thing? I mean, I don't want to go into anything about...
Yeah, I'm not going to go into candidates, but what I, especially in the Board of Education, a lot of times there's a one-issue candidate, which I kind of, it's not that it's bad, the issue is usually very important, but how is that candidate going to work on other issues that are very important
And I think
to the school
I've seen
board?
that always, that you have someone
Yes.
that say evolution. I mean, I don't think that's one of the issues, but someone that doesn't believe in evolution and wants to see that taken out of the curriculum, may decide.
I'd like to see someone who believes in budgets. I'd like to see someone who
Yes.
understands the budgeting process, instead of some of the people that you get up there and, 2 and 2 does not equal 5. We it doesn't happen, and they want to spend more.
We have 30 seconds left.
They want to spend more than we have, and there's got to be someone who's going to put a brake
And
on it.
along with that, there are 2 budgets. There's an operating budget and a capital
Right.
budget. Many times we forget that capital budget, which
Which
is the
huge.
building that these children are going to work in. So please come to the forum and get out and vote for the Board of Education candidate.
Folks, if Elaine Apter will be after you if you don't vote, so make sure you vote. Thanks a lot, Elaine. Brian Karem,
Good to see you, Don.
you're here. Normally you're here going on and have very, very wonderful insights about issues going on outside of the Sentinel office building. Today you're whining about something internally. So
Well, I need
what
to.
is going on here?
Well,
Vent.
basically, George Leventhal and Nancy Florine, a couple members of the county, decided to put up a couple of the members of the legislature to posting a bill and promoting a bill that would remove the need for counties across the state to print in newspaper their public notices.
Well, tell before you go there, what are public notices? What are we talking about?
For example, if you're going to change zoning, is the biggest one that affects people. Zoning changes, meetings, ordinances. There's about 25 or 30 different types of public notices, and the county is responsible for just a few of them. That's true. The problem is there has to be one central place to get it. That's the newspaper. And the government now wants to tell us, you don't need an outside independent verifier of the facts. Trust us. We'll put it on our website, and it'll be, golden. Problem is there are seniors who don't go to the web. There are immigrants who don't understand or go to the web. I don't go to the web all the time. We have lawyers, thousands of people who simply don't like to use the web for public notices, like to sit where they're all in one place, pick them up in the newspaper, and read them.
Let me ask you this: who do you see? Because the council members normally don't do something just based on their own thoughts. They've got constituents they have or interests.
This was
that are
done
pushing it.
basically because of their own thoughts. I think somebody said, hey, this is a great idea, let's have a bake sale. And they didn't think it through. Because the idea that you can do something better on the net is just flat wrong. My newspaper cannot be hacked, cannot be changed, it's permanent, and in a court of law, that's king. And you can't skirt the issue that the government should not be responsible for verifying its own facts that can be used against it. That has to be someone else, and that's us. And that's the basis of the republic for which it stands.
Are they thinking that it's going to save the county money?
That's how they're pitching it. And they're wrong in that regard, too. They've written into this legislation a whole other thing where they do have to provide a paper trail, but that means hiring more people and doing it at a much more costly venue than we do now.
Well, yeah, one of the things that we would be concerned about in the League of Women Voters is you're getting rid of one public access to information. That is very, very important.
That's our issue as well. Public and to have the slap in the face to me personally And so I gave her a subscription to the newspaper. It was when Nancy Florian came up and said, in Montgomery County it doesn't matter because we don't have any newspapers anymore. And then she said, oh, well, the Sentinel and the Post. So with 250 to 350,000 individual, unique visits to our website and a subscription, by the way, that's rising, our subscriptions, we're a viable and have been a viable part of this community for 161 years. And I think it speaks more to the quality of people on the county council that they don't realize the need for this. And I think that says something about who we should be voting for next election and who we should be getting out to get out of public life. If you don't think that a disinterested third-party observer is important to the viable relationship between the government and the public, then you need to be out of government.
Well, you're the one person in this group who's been in government.
Yeah.
So
Well,
what's your thought?
yes, I was I was a member of council of a municipality.
Right.
I actually don't see why why this is being changed. I don't see what the need for the change is.
It's a no-brainer to us as well.
Exactly. I mean, it's just I don't see the need. I mean, I suppose you could say we're going to save money, but ultimately, if you're going to hire people to perform the same function within the government, you're not saving any money.
And it's a public access. The biggest thing you can't get around is the public access issue. You cannot entrust the government to say, trust me, I'm the government. Everything I tell you is going to be roses and peaches. That ain't the way it works. And the internet can be hacked. It can be changed. There's an article in the paper the other day, a 16-year-old hacked into the CIA mainframe. You can change anything on the internet. You cannot change what is printed.
Will this be decided by the council, or it's a state action?
It's before the state legislature. I've been assured by members of the state legislature that they will give it, appropriate response. So I'm looking forward to it not being passed, and I want to kill it for the next 10 years till we get somebody in the county council who understands how government works.
Let me ask you this: are local newspapers around the state
Also
coming together? All of you are working together.
Well, and I represented the Maryland-Delaware District of Columbia Press Association when we made this pitch.
Right.
I will make one more pitch, Don. We're
got
having
30 seconds.
I got my pitch. All right. This Saturday at 5:30 p.m. in the auditorium of the 101 Monroe, we're having a candidate forum for all 9 Democrats running for District 8.
So 101 Monroe, that's the county council.
Yes, in the
big
auditorium
room. Okay. All
So
right.
I'd love you to join us.
And you're going to stream it too.
We're going to live stream the event on our website, www.thesentinel.com. So we'll have that available. You see, we're the free and independent press.
Perfect timing, Brian. What a great first half. You guys have got a lot to work up to here. We'll be right back after these messages. And we're back. Jackie, welcome back.
Thank
Great
you.
to have you.
Appreciate being asked back.
So this issue where everyone's really excited, Thanksgiving, go out and serve food in the morning and then have your great meal in the evening, leading up to the Christmas or Hanukkah or Diwali, whatever, I mean, a time of giving, time of light and all of that. And then December 26th comes, or January 2nd comes, and there's a winter of need. People don't just eat during the holidays, do they, who are hungry?
No, I mean, our neighbors are just like you and me. Everybody needs 3 meals a day, and that's a year-round issue. January was particularly hard on a lot of us because of the blizzard. Even in February, we've had ice storms, and that means that folks who rely on Manna Food Center for 3 to 5 days worth of healthy food are kept from traveling to us. Even our distribution sites in 12 locations around the county are impacted by bad weather. And the number of donations has gone down because you're right, it's not top of mind. And when everyone's going to the food store to make sure they have enough for a blizzard, then there's left for grocery stores there's less for them to donate to us.
It's because of all those empty shelves that when you go back the day after the blizzard, there's nothing left in the store. So they don't
But we
have
have a
anything.
backlog of folks. We've, called hundreds of clients saying, we're closed, you need to stay off the roads, but we'll be back in service on such and such a day. And then we have to send our drivers out to dozens of different grocery stores trying to figure out what's left on the shelves for us to share.
Is there a backup for when that happens? I mean,
Cans.
Or are people literally not eating?
Well, we definitely have shelf-stable food, and that comes from food drives that people do. We have a food drive coming up with Ride On in April and May. The Muslim Foundation is going to do a food drive, and that gives us a stock. But, of course, we want healthy things to offer, produce and the fresh items. Those are harder to get.
If they're not able to get them, I mean, people aren't, are people going hungry?
Well, unfortunately, in this county, it estimates that there are 78,000 people who on a regular basis are not sure where their next meal is coming from, and it's only harder when Mother Nature doesn't cooperate. But that's why Manna, other organizations like Shepherd's Table, all try to rally around and cope with whatever's thrown at us, and to let folks know that
Jack, let's
we're
get back
available.
to that number, 78,000. So if we're looking at 1 million people, you're talking about 7 to 8% of the entire population. Who are the 7 to 8%? That's a huge number.
It is a huge number. A lot of folks think of Manna, and it's true that we're a thread in the safety net for the most vulnerable. About 25% of our folks are seniors, certainly children, but we have a lot of working poor who have continued to come and visit us. A lot of people think, oh, the recession's over, but it has been a very uneven recovery for hourly worker, for people who are seasonal workers. And so the majority of our clients, our participants in our programs, are the working poor. And another number that's growing is the number of students who are eligible for free and reduced meals. We're at 60 schools. We have been increasing year by year the number of students we reach every Friday with a healthy bag of what we call Smart Sacks, which is a bag of family-friendly food.
You knew she was going to work
Yeah.
there.
Is it difficult for them to get to you, especially those that don't have transportation? How do they
Well, that's
get
why
their food?
Good
for
question.
our monthly distributions, we try to do that all over the county in different locations. Smart Sacks, we are directly in the school system in those 60 elementary schools. I will say that on April 7th, we're having our Heroes Against Hunger event where we're saluting one of the founders of the Smart Sacks program, a woman by the name of Shonda Jenkins. And she helped that program get started at just one school, and now we're in 60 schools. So that's an indication of the need, but it's also an indication that this is a community that tries to solve problems, and we're really proud of people like Shonda.
That's my big question: is how's the response in this county? We're routinely touted as one of the top, or one of the richest counties in the country. So how's our response to the working poor and the poor in this county? Should we do better? Are we doing enough?
We've got about a minute left in this segment.
Well, I mean, I'm the kind of person that thinks any morning you get up, you can do better than you did yesterday. But this is a great county. We will solve the problem of hunger because we're going to bring together the faith communities, the business communities. We were talking about budgets earlier, the school system. We have a lot of stakeholders, including the participants themselves. This is a great county in terms of diversity, and I believe everybody is stepping up if they know of the opportunity, and that's why Manna Food Center asks people to join us. Our website, I think, is going to be on the screen, mannafood.org. We're on
good.
Facebook.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
And Twitter, and you can come out on April 7th and meet some of the Heroes Against Hunger.
We'll be there.
Yeah. Real quick, just what's 5 seconds? What can people help with? Most of all, food, donations.
We need food, we need friends, volunteers, and we need funds so that we can pay the great staff, keep the lights on, drive the trucks, and also, if we get our stocks low, make some wholesale purchases.
Thanks, Jackie.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Look forward to having you come back again
Thanks
real
so much.
soon.
Yeah.
Linna, so we go from the hungry
Personally help.
to folks who have enough money in their pockets to self-finance huge political campaigns.
Yes, we do. And I mean, it's interesting because at the national level, obviously you have Donald Trump.
Sure.
Who is...
Who?
Who could that be?
Who sucked the wind out of the air out of the whole Republican race. It's
Exactly.
amazing.
It's just a totally different story than anybody thought it was going to be 6 months ago. But he's not the only one that's able to self-finance. Right now, the District 8 congressional
Election.
election
Right.
is an open election because Chris Van Hollen, who was a representative, is now running for Senate.
Okay.
So that's an open seat, and I believe there are nine
Candidates,
Democratic,
nine Democrats.
nine Democratic candidates. I think
Five
Republicans, and
And
then
3
several
independents.
independents. But interestingly, 2 of those candidates are people who have not held public office before. They've really not been really people out there in the public eye in any way
And
whatsoever.
who are those?
Kathleen Matthews and David Tron.
Okay.
Trone.
Trone,
yeah.
Trone,
Okay.
right. And not listening to the ads. Both of them now have television ads on in the nightly news. Both of them, I think Kathleen Matthews has raised some money. Trone is not raising any money.
He said he's not going to take anything more than a $10 contribution, and that he's counting on his funds. My question is, did any of them give to Manna?
Well,
that's a legitimate question.
But it does make for a different thing when you are able not to be out there in the public eye. You're not really, your positions on bills, the way you voted isn't
it's interesting
known.
because when we look at this, I think the 6th district a couple cycles ago, John Delaney, similar situation. There was a really dynamic, very popular state senator named Rob Garagiola. The thought was this was written and Garagiola would be able to do this, and had done all of these things through the process. And the Germantown Democratic Club precinct chair becomes a respected state senator, and a self-financed businessman comes up, advertising, and blows it out of the water. Very similar to what it seems like what we're seeing with
It is very similar, but
here.
it's a much wider race. It was just a 2-person race.
Right.
Two Democratic candidates 4 years ago. So that was slightly different. This
is a
with
bit different
9.
because Trone just jumped in at the last.
Last day to register.
Last day to register. Matthews has been around since the beginning, going to all the candidate forums, and she's been actively involved and is trying to raise money.
And she's well known within this area, television, and very much the working woman. I mean, she's had
that's a bit different, but the issue of, and it's a very interesting issue and one that we've been, we're going to cover in our debate on Saturday. But the fact of the matter is it any different for a guy who can be pay for his own way to run? Does that destroy the one person, one vote any more than super PACs?
And that's where I was going too, because this is self-financed. Is it maybe a question of anti-establishment? These people had nothing to do with government, as opposed to a Jeb Bush that had
plenty
all the money in the world but didn't make it. So what is the thinking of the people, that these people don't have that background, and that's what we're looking for?
I think with Trone's an interesting case though, because he is literally unknown. I mean, Donald Trump obviously in the national race was a known commodity.
That's a nice thing to say.
Trone really, I mean, when he signed up to run the last day, and then the next day, I think there were 5 different commercials on that you just saw. So you're seeing a whole
And then the thing
series.
that you didn't hear, which was reported, was the day after that, I think it was, or maybe 2 days later, he had to can some of his staffers because they got caught pulling a Donald Segretti.
Well, let me ask you this:
with their opponents.
Is what does this say in terms of the ability of voters, and maybe Elaine, the league? I mean, but you're with the league is within this whole thing of understanding where they're coming from. Because what we're getting when you're soft financed and millions of dollars going in for ads, we're brainwashed, or we're hearing only one side individual. But there really isn't any opportunity through that for candidates' ideas to be
and how
shared.
you can implement them. That's the issue. It's not, everybody has a great idea, or most people think they have a great idea, but when you're running for office, what in your portfolio or within your ability are you going to be able to do to implement those ideas?
Exactly. How do you work within a government committees, working out compromises? What's your ability to do that?
Jamie Raskin, Kumar Barve, Ana Sol Gutierrez.
Those
they
are
all have a background.
The legislators who have come up with what we used to think of, that you get your proving grounds and you move up to the next level.
And that
but
is
now that's blown away.
And that's where, but it's always happened.
Always happened. Last word.
Last word. I was just going to say, Donna Edwards, who was also running for Senate, she came out of nowhere to run.
And but the one place that we didn't come out of was nowhere.
A representative.
We're here.
Well,
Jackie,
to be a
Jackie, the time is over. Unfortunately. Thank you all for joining us for this week's edition of Montgomery Week in Review. We have so much more to talk about. We don't have any time, though. I'm Don Moores. Please join us next week at this very same time.